Hello everybody, September 26, 2022. Going to take a look at Bitcoin. First, what I said on Friday. Last week, the bulls needed to keep it above 19K to have a more immediate bullish resolution. They failed to do that, and so my expectation had turned to seeing further downside at that point. However, I noted that the action has all been incredibly choppy, and the bears and the bulls both failed to complete a 5-wave impulsive move. So, macro-wise, that's a good sign that we are likely near to a bottom, and we're not going to break below that 15.7 super important level. On Friday, I said the micro action would look most complete with one or two more lows in the 17.3 and then 16.6 area, but the bulls would have to prove themselves from that point. Obviously now we're up at about 20.1, so that now is off the table and making things even more complex for us. So, and here I noted, I don't see a clear 5 waves up off the low. If they're able to push it up in 5 waves to 21.3 to 21.7, then maybe the bottom's already in, but it's unlikely, and honestly, it's still unlikely. So let's just dive in here and see. In the larger sense of the macro picture, I'm looking at this to give us hopefully a lower low. It could truncate, that could be a truncated bottom, but honestly I would love to see this low broken to give us a 5th wave down to a lower low. It would make the macro picture look a little bit better, but if we see evidence of a bottom being in before then, I'm open to it. But essentially, I've been watching for this to turn into a 3-wave move down into this green box. And as you can see, we, of course, have gotten into that green box. So as far as that sort of more recent action goes, it can be complete. And this low is lower than that low, so it could be complete already. It could also be making a more complex 3-wave move down, to finally give us that lower low below here. At this point, we really don't have a clear micro expectation that can be considered high probability. So, just kind of zooming out for now, like this green box, as I have been looking for, is where I expect a bottom to happen. I was hoping that we were seeing the end of it here. I went over this, move from the high as potentially this being an A wave here. We got a 3-wave move up for a B right there, and then we started the dump, and this should have done a 5-wave move down to give us a C. That would have given us a very clean ending to this correction. Instead, we are back above this high, and if we'd gotten above that high with a 5-wave move, meaning this move here, if that had been 5 waves, that could then be considered 1, 2, and then we're working our way up for this 3 in the red count. 4 and 5 would give us 5 waves up. Still technically possible. I noted that did not look like 5 waves to me though. It still doesn't. Looks more like 3 to me. But I'm keeping this red count on the radar. We're just going to move it to the side. So anyway, what we can do now is eliminate this blue, obviously, eliminate this yellow diagonal here. And we're going to have a couple different options now. First of which I still think is unlikely, being this bullish scenario. There's the 1, 2. Because it does not look impulsive. Actually, I suppose that being the low, we'd have to consider that a 1 and a 2 there. Sorry, this is the one here. Okay, that's the one. All right, so we've got our fib extension drawn from here to here. Our 3, being a diagonal, likely is going to go actually right about where we are at the 1, 2, 3, 6, 4, and 5. So best case scenario now for the bulls is to do something like this, which would give us a diagonal upwards. There's the second wave as a triangle. So this is quite possible, and it could extend up a little bit higher here, and in which case we would then move this diagonal upwards to match the top of that 3. But this right about here is where a top would be expected in a diagonal. And so the bulls are going to need to hold the bottom of this channel right here for a 4th wave, and then push us up one more time for a 5th wave within a diagonal structure. Again, diagonals are very unreliable. We've seen that time and time again. This giant structure here was at best a diagonal, and then it ended up failing, came down too low on the breakdown. So I don't put too much confidence in this no matter what. But if we see all 5 of these go up here, and then it does a 3-wave move down, and it holds, significantly above that low, and then breaks above that high, then it would say, all right, bottom is actually probably in at that point. But we really don't have high confidence in that right now. Also possible is that all of this choppy action here was just a continuation of this A wave. That could be A there, and we may be doing B right now, because this looks pretty clearly like 3 waves to me. And we're at the 1, 2, 3, 6, which is an extended, 3rd wave, meaning A, B, C. An extended C wave can go to the 1, 2, 3, 6. So it's certainly within the realm of possibility now that this comes down and breaks, and we start moving down to that lower low. If that's the case, that being our A now, that being our B, it does project us down a little bit further, with the ideal place for a C wave to go anywhere between 15.3 and 17.6. Once again, that is problematic because 15.7 is my line in the sand. If we go below 15.7, the chances of turning this back into a bull market anytime soon are pretty slim. In the macro sense, I don't see us breaking that 69K high, and going below 15.7 would signify to me that the market is in for potentially years more of bear market. So we definitely want to keep it above that point in any scenario. But this, unfortunately is looking like we're going to head down into this green box. If we can just get maybe 764 at 17K, that'd be okay. That'd be good. If we get the 1.0, which is the kind of normal C wave, it's getting pretty darn close to 15.7, but technically is not breaking it. But that is a heck of a needle to thread, hitting 16.1, not breaking below 15.7, and then giving an impulse up. I mean, the bulls certainly have their work cut out for them if that's the case. So there we have it. A couple different scenarios to watch for then. Really couldn't tell you which is most likely right now. The bulls at best have that diagonal, which is not great. The bears, seem a little bit more likely still to make one more low because this action has just been pretty atrocious off of the low. And now we've also got indicators. Hourly PPO is very, very overbought. Hourly RSI is very, very overbought. Let's take a look at some higher time frame. Let me look at 4 hour. That is getting very overbought as well. So again, not boding particularly well for a more immediate bullish outcome, but if they can fill in all 5 waves in this diagonal, it's something we will have to watch for anyway. So I think that pretty much sums it up. Unfortunately, this realistically, like low time frame, this is a no trade zone. There's no realistic trade to be had here that is high probability, unfortunately. So I'm still sitting my spot buys. I'm happy with this action as far as that goes. I am, as I said, I have been back into crypto fully, 100% back in. I just wish this action was better because number one, I like to take leverage trades to make my profits even higher. But number two, it also gives me higher confidence in those spot buys if this action off the low looked better. And as of right now, I'm worried that this is going to break down. So I'm going to be ready, honestly, to jump out of those buys. My Bitcoin buys are at about 19.3, and that's about the level that this should hold, to be perfectly honest. That's right there around the bottom of that trend line. If 19.3 breaks, it's probably going down further. So I'm going to be ready probably to jump out of my buys at around break even if need be, if we break down below that diagonal, and just wait for that lower to kind of clarify what's happening next. All right, everybody, stay safe this week. Looks like we're in for some more chop. I will talk to you all on Friday, and we'll see where the market is at that point, and we'll go from there. All right, everybody, have a good one.